Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation on International Accounting Standard 23, commonly referred to as IAS 23, which focus on borrowing costs. So today, we will dive into the key principles, scope, definitions, recognition criteria, and other important aspects of this standard. Understanding IAS 23 is crucial for anyone studying accounting or finance, as it directly impacts how companies report their financial activities related to borrowing. IAS 23 was adopted by the International Accounting Standards Board in April 2001, replacing an earlier version from 1984. This standard was revised in March 2007 to eliminate the option for immediate recognition of borrowing costs as an expense. This change was significant because it aimed to improve the consistency and comparability of financial statements across different entities. For example, before the revision, companies could choose to expense borrowing costs immediately or capitalize them, leading to inconsistencies in financial reporting. The core principle of IAS 23 states that the borrowing costs that are directly attributable to acquiring, constructing, or producing a qualifying asset should be capitalized as a part of the asset cost. To illustrate, if a company takes out a loan to build a factory, the interest on that loan can be added to the factory's cost on the balance sheet. This means that the factory will be recorded at a higher value, reflecting the total investment made. In contrast, other borrowing costs that do not meet this criteria, such as interest on loans taken for general business purposes, should be recognized as an expense. This distinction is important for accurately reflecting a company's financial position. IAS 23 applies to all entities, regardless of their size or industry, when accounting for borrowing costs. However, it specifically excludes the costs associated with equity financing, such as dividends on preferred shares. Additionally, the standard does not apply to borrowing costs directly attributable to acquiring, constructing, or producing qualifying assets that are measured at fair value, like biological assets or inventories produced in large quantities. Which means that if a company is producing a large volume of goods, it does not need to capitalize borrowing costs related to the production, which simplifies the accounting process. The key definitions in IAS 23 include borrowing costs, which refer to interest and other costs incurred when borrowing funds. For example, if a company borrows $1 million at an interest rate of 5%, the interest expense incurred will be considered a borrowing cost, while a qualifying asset is defined as an asset that necessarily takes a substantial period to prepare for its intended use or sale. Examples of qualifying assets include manufacturing plants, power generation facilities, and large construction objects. These assets typically require significant time and resources to become operational, justifying the capitalization of related borrowing costs. Now, entities must capitalize borrowing costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition, construction, or production of a qualifying asset. If a company borrows money to build a new office, the interest on that loan can be capitalized and added to the cost of the office on the balance sheet. This approach reflects the true cost of the asset. And conversely, any borrowing cost that does not meet this criteria, such as interest taken on a general business loan, should be recognized as an expense in the period they are incurred, which ensures that financial statements accurately reflect the costs associated with specific projects. Now, the next part will be explained by Alex.
Okay, so now let's look at what borrowing costs are eligible for capitalization. These are costs that would have been avoided if the expenditure on the qualifying asset had not been made. For example, if a company borrows $1 million specifically to build a new office, the interest on that loan is directly attributable to the qualifying asset and can be capitalized. However, if the company has general borrowings that are not specifically tied to the office construction, it may be more complex to determine which costs can capitalize. Commencement and suspension of capitalization. Capitalization of borrowing costs begins on the commencement date, which is when the entity incurs expenditures for the asset, incurs borrowing costs, and undertakes activities necessary to prepare the asset for its intended use or sale. If there are extended periods where active development of the qualifying asset is suspended, capitalization should also be suspended. For instance, if construction of a building is halted due to bad weather, the borrowing costs during this period should not be capitalized. Next is the cessation of capitalization. Capitalization of borrowing costs ceases when substantially all activities necessary to prepare the qualified asset for its intended use or sale are complete. For example, if a company completes the construction of a factory but still needs to install machinery, borrowing costs can continue to be capitalized until the factory is fully operational. Now, let's discuss the disclosure requirements under IAS 23. Entities are required to disclose the amount of borrowing costs capitalized during the period and the capitalization rate used to determine the amount of borrowing costs eligible for capitalization. This transparency is crucial for stakeholders to understand how borrowing costs are treated in the financial statements. For instance, if a company capitalizes a significant amount of borrowing costs, it may affect the asset values reported on the balance sheet. Next, we have the transitional provisions. When the application of IAS 23 constitutes a change in accounting policy, it should be applied to borrowing costs relating to qualifying asset, for which the commencement date for capitalization is on or after the effective date. Entities may also designate any date before the effective date and apply the standard borrowing costs relating to all qualifying assets for which the commencement date for capitalization is on after that date. The flexibility allows companies to transition smoothly to the new standard. The effective date for IAS 23 is 4 annual periods, beginning on after January 1, 2009. A real application is permitted, and if an entity applies the standard format date before January 1, 2009, it must disclose that fact. Additionally, there have been amendments to IAS 23 over the years, including those related to IFRS 9 and IFRS 16. This further clarify the treatment of borrowing costs. Entities must stay updated on these amendments to ensure compliance. In conclusion, IAS 23 provides a clear framework for the treatment of borrowing costs in financial reporting. The capitalizing borrowing costs that are directly attributable to qualifying assets. Entities can better reflect the true cost of their investment. Understanding IAS 23 is essential for accurate financial reporting and compliance with international accounting standards. Thank you for your attention, and we hope this presentation has clarified the key aspects of IAS 23 borrowing costs.